Welcome to our community. Susie Thomas with you this morning. So happy to welcome our friends from the Canton Christian Home. We've got Larry Burgett, a familiar face around here, and a new face, Ken Muller. Good morning to both of you.
Good morning.
Good morning, Susie.
So some big news, huh, Larry?
Yes, there's some news. I'm retiring, and I will be, my last speaking engagement is November the 3rd. But they kind of want me around. They want me to keep my licensure up in case my nursing home licensure up. And just in case Mike Kerr, our executive director, may need me at a time or something. But other than that, well, I'm letting Ken do the work.
Hang out the gone fishing sign.
No, I'm not a fisherman. But I'll be going to some different places. But we're not doing a lot of vacationing. My wife is going to have knee surgery on December the 26th.
We'll keep her in our prayers.
So, yeah, I appreciate that very much. But we are going next year. We're taking a footsteps of Paul cruise. We're going the Mediterranean from Rome over to the Holy Land and to Jerusalem, the Sea of Galilee, and then back to Corinth and Ephesus and going to Mars Hill and Athens and so on.
That sounds amazing. But sans all the shipwrecks, right? You skip that part of his cruises, right?
Yeah,
and then just go all the places.
That's right. Shipwreck,
not do it exactly the way he did it.
Picking up a snake in one of the islands. No, we're not going to do that.
Skip all that part.
Skip that.
But, Larry and Ken, we will introduce you. You've been there how long?
38 and a half years
My
now.
goodness.
Yes.
So you've known a lot of folks.
I've known a lot of folks, met a lot of people, wonderful people, and a lot of wonderful staff, a lot of wonderful residents. Been in the churches out there and just thanking them and encourage them to support the ministry of Canton Christian Home. It's been a blessing.
The growth has been amazing. Let's think about 38 years ago. What did it look like then? What does it look like now?
Okay, well, we certainly have more residents. When I came, we were in a couple hundred, 200-300, Now we have gone over 2,600 different residents over the years. When I first came, we were talking about $40,000 of benevolence. Now we talk $300,000+ of benevolence every year. And then we've added onto the building in 1991 and 92, and then about 2014 and 15, some more additions. So I have seen a lot of different changes, but there's positive changes, so that's good.
There seems to be not less of a need for retirement homes, right?
That's right.
Baby boomers.
Baby boomers, yeah. But baby boomers are staying home longer. There's a lot more activities going on for them. And so it's not quite as easy. We don't have the long waiting list that we used to have for the different departments and there's more nursing homes, retirement homes out in the area anymore than there used to be. So there's some competition out there, but we continue to do well.
Well, we'll talk a little bit more about, the Christian home in itself. But Ken, let's get to know you a little bit. So you're going to be stepping in, and what will your title be?
Well, I am currently serving as the chaplain. I've been there a whole 2.5 months since August, and loving that position. I really have been enjoying that. It kind of fits like a glove because I've been in ministry for 33 years or so.
Where did you come from?
Well, originally from Pennsylvania, but have had ministries in Indiana and Ohio. Have been in this area. I was in Columbiana for about 11 years, and then more recently in Sunbury for about 18 years.
So what interested you in the Canton Christian Home?
Well, I have always been drawn to older folks. Ever since I was a little kid, I have just loved their stories, loved their experience and wisdom that comes from them. And so that has continued on into my adulthood, and even in my ministries. I was in youth ministry for a while, but still, I loved spending time with the seniors, and as that's just been a part of me all this time. And of course, the ministry aspect of it has been something I've really enjoyed at the home.
Larry, you have gotten to hear so many stories, people through the years. When you think of, oh my goodness, the greatest generation. You've had a lot of folks from the World War II era, and 30s and 40s and so forth, coming through and living there. I'm thinking, well, if you go back 38 years, you've had people born not even in this century living there.
Yeah,
and
that's
and
right.
the stories that you have gotten to hear. Tell me a little bit about the people who've impacted your life through being chaplain there.
Oh, well, I've really never been the chaplain.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, tell me, what was your, I assumed.
Director of Development,
Yes.
Fundraising, and Administration. I've
But-
been in administration and fundraising. I've helped in chaplain.
You can also preach up a storm.
Oh, yes, I'm a preacher, too.
So
I'm a preacher, too, yes.
very cool. So
Yes.
so good. I'm glad we got that straight.
Yeah, yeah,
So, but
so-
through that time, tell me a little bit about the folks you've gotten to meet.
Oh, some of the folks I met a person who lived to be 109 at the Canton Christian Home. Wonderful lady. She had the hardest time hearing, but her mind was good. I met some people who've been in World War II. I met people, of course, who were born before 1900, in the 1890s, that type of thing, that
Yes.
lived there at the home. I've met people from other states who've come to Canton Christian Home to live, who did not have the funds to do it. But the church knew we were a ministry at helping people in their later years of life. And some have a little bit of a challenge. Anytime you work with people, there's some more of a challenge than others. But boy, there's some beautiful and pleasant people who are so kind and respectful of others. That means so much when we meet those people. So I've met some people who've had all kinds of ministries. They've spent 40 years in Japan as a missionary, and to hear some of the stories that they go through and had to get the message out across to people over there. First of all, you have to learn the language, and then be able to present and make sure you don't get a word that has more than one meaning.
Right.
In a different language, because they could take it the wrong way.
Right.
So I've seen some of those, and I've seen some people who just had so difficult reading and just read like with everything right in front of their face, but yet I spent time and time again reading the Word of God and reading books, that type of thing. It's been a wonderful experience. I just can't recall all the different, all at once here, of the different people I've met over the years.
You've said Benevolent Fund a couple of times now,
Yes.
so let's talk about what that is, because that does make the Canton Christian Home extra special.
That does make a Canton Christian Home extra special. Back in 1972, even before the home opened its doors, they had a plan that we would have people from the Christian Church of Christ, they're the ones who sponsored the home, who would not have enough money but they needed a wonderful Christian environment to live in. Some are living by themselves out there in the home and needed this help. And so in 1972, they started what's called an Association Benevolent Care Fund. And the home didn't open until 1976. And so, but they knew that they would be coming. And so they started preparing for that. And back in 1950, when a class at First Christian Church decided they would like to have a home of their own, they started a jar and started putting money in a jar. And I have that jar in my office.
Wow.
With the first dollar in it. And then they had fundraisers, and when I have a blanket, or not a blanket, but a quilt that was made by a 93-year-old lady in the 1960s, sold at an auction in 1967, and 30 years later it was donated back to the home. In 2006, this lady brought it back into the home, and she donated back to the home. And we had a 30th anniversary in 2006. We had an auction, and a lady bought it. 3 days later, she brought it right back and donated it back to the home. So those are some experiences.
It's the same quilt that you keep auctioning off.
Yeah, same quilt and everything. And so they started this fund for Canton Christian Home, but they also started some things for benevolence. And so that's one of the things I've really been working on, encouraging people in benevolence. And as I said a little bit ago, when I came in 81, it was only 40,000. Now we run 300 to 400,000.
Wow.
Just to keep people there. And in 43 years, November the 8th, we start our 44th year. We have never had a person that we'd had to say to them, we can no longer take care of you. Now, those are from our Christian Church of Christ. And from other churches, people who've had funds to come in, but if their money's run out, we continue to take care of them, even if they're from other faiths.
They outlive their money, and they do not have to leave.
And as long as we have the funds there, and we do, they do not have to leave, yes.
And you've always had them.
We've always had them.
God's
so far.
amazing, isn't he?
And that's 40-some years, and we just pray that they're 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 years
Yes.
or until Jesus comes again.
Yes.
That we'll continue to be able to help, and so nobody has to leave with financial.
And that's not less care, right? That is, they're getting their food and
They're getting
they're getting all the same care that you would be getting.
Yeah, they're getting all the fine care that we can give there, yes.
There's so many things that are special about the Canton Christian Home. I'm thinking of the activities. I'm thinking of just the way you do dinner, which I know is different than it was a few years ago even.
Yes.
Talk about some of the differences and enhancements that the newest additions have brought.
One of the things that's so new and people really enjoy it is our cafe. You would have morning breakfast at a certain time and lunch and dinner and that type of thing. Now we have a cafe. People use that all day long, and it's from 7 to 7. They can get breakfast all day long. They can get sandwiches. They can get pie, cake. There's soups and that type of thing. And it's wonderful for family members to come in and visit their resident, a resident who's their family member, then just to sit down and enjoy coffee and ice cream or whatever it might be in a meal. That has been a real blessing for the home. And so we see people there all the time coming in and using that opportunity.
Well, I think, because one of the nice things about living in your own home is you can raid the refrigerator whenever you need to.
Right.
This allows you to kind of still do that.
Yeah, still do that. And we have more and more apartments now, too. 1-bedroom apartments, 2-bedroom apartments. Well, we have 4 2-bedrooms, but more than 1-bedroom apartments. And even some what we used to call residential with service rooms did not have kitchenettes in them. Now they have little refrigerators and little, microwave and something like that. They can still put something in there. But the joy of just coming down and visiting, that's social. Yeah, and we want to make sure that the social, the physical, and the emotional, the financial, all those things are taken care of, and they enjoy a wonderful experience at the Canton Christian Home.
Now, you are going to be passing the torch to Ken.
That's correct.
Ken is currently the chaplain. Does this mean your title changes when you receive that torch, or does the job change to fit the person accepting that torch?
Well, I will continue as chaplain and then add the director of development
along with
role along with that. Yeah. So Larry's been training me for that. He's been grooming me and been a very good teacher. But I've said I'm going to keep a long rope on him so I can pull him back any time I have a question. I've got his phone number.
Holler for help, just to put out the SOS whenever you need.
Right. But he's been a very excellent teacher and walking me through so many aspects of the development piece of it, the fundraising that's necessary to keep the Benevolent Fund going.
Well, that's it, to keep that up, because that is an amazing thing. It takes the fear away.
Right.
How terrifying for anyone to think that just as you're getting to the stage of life where you're not earning, that to find out you didn't earn enough. Yikes. Yeah, that's not anything anybody wants to hear. So to be able to know that they're taken care of, that they're provided for, it's just such a perfect Christian ministry. I mean, what else should we be doing? But taking care of widows is one of those things,
That's right. Cast me not off in time old age, forsake me not when my strength faileth. Pure and undefiled religion for God is to visit our fathers and the widows. To visit means more than making a social call. To see what their really needs are.
Yeah.
And so we've been able to help a number of widows and widowers at the Canton Christian Home.
So awesome. Has any part of this new role for you surprised you at all?
And not really. There's been a lot to learn. It's a big learning curve with the fundraising part of it. I've never really done anything of that nature. So in that regard, I guess there are some surprises. Just for one thing, it's not just about going to our supporting churches and thanking them for their support and asking them for continued support, but it's also on an individual level, and this is something that Larry has really been on the forefront of, is living trusts and gift annuities, things of that nature that help benefit the home. And there's also a personal benefit from those who take part in that as they get a living trust done for free because we at Canton Christian Home, we're a sponsor of the what's it
Financial
called? The
Planning Ministry.
Financial Planning Ministry.
Mm-hmm.
And so they, our name appears in a book along with a number of other nonprofits, faith-based organizations that we can receive the benefit from that. And what it is, it keeps their estate out of probate, and the savings that they gain from that can be passed along to the nonprofits.
Very
We're one of
interesting.
those.
I'm just taking a look at the clock. We do need to take a short break, but we'll be back with more about the Canton Christian Home with Larry and Ken after these words. You're listening to Our Community.